Hey, tonight on Mississippi Roads, we'll be celebrating the influence and impact that the Celtic culture has had on our way of life. Celtic Fest in Jackson. And we'll watch a group of knights recreate an old sport. We'll travel to a galaxy far, far away. Or at least we'll meet some characters from that galaxy. We'll meet a lady who has found her dream job at the zoo. And we'll hear from a man who plays an instrument that fans of any older sci-fi movies will recognize.
Support for the arts segment of Mississippi Roads comes from the Mississippi Arts Commission, whose mission is to be a catalyst for the arts and creativity in Mississippi. Information available at www.arts.ms.gov.
Mississippi Roads is made possible in part by the generous support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Down Mississippi Road.
Today, we're at a festival celebrating the history of the Celtic culture and the influence that it's had on the United States. We're at the Ag Museum in Jackson, where once a year, several thousand people gather for a few days to celebrate the music and the style and the art that comes from Ireland and Scotland. And just inside this building, they're doing dancing called clogging. I'll let them do it. It's a big festival that packs a lot of activities into a few days, and it happens rain or shine. One of the big draws to the festival is the lineup of performers. Fairgoers are treated to an impressive list of international stars who are steeped in Irish and Scottish music. Singers, fiddlers, accordion players. This year there are artists whose works and talents have been featured in Riverdance and on television shows on HBO, CBS, Fox, and more. And while we're on the subject of culture from across the pond, we met a group of people who are keeping some old games alive and well. And they're putting on quite the show while they do it. The distinctive sound of bagpipes and drums announced the beginning of the annual Highlands and Islands Celtic Association, Highlands Games in Gulfport, Mississippi. On the sports field, the athletes dressed in kilts compete on for their clan's bragging rights.
Basically came out of trying to develop out of the clans a champion of sorts. There's so much variety in what a Scottish festival can offer. You've got so much dancing and music and athletics, and honestly, I think it's just simply the word of mouth getting into the people's minds. People get intrigued, just kind of slowly builds.
The variety of entertainment at this event is what keeps people coming back for more. As the crowds grow larger each year, so does the list of vendors and entertainers. One longtime participant is Red McWilliams, a Scottish folk singer who's been returning to this event for a number of years.
Well, I've been coming here to the Gulf Coast probably for, I think we figured it out the other day, for about 17 or 18 years since they first moved the Highlands and Islands, these games, out to the Harrison County Fairgrounds here. I've been with them since then. I've probably only missed 1 or 2 years.
This game's been going on since 1984. It started off as a Scottish festival, and in 1990, I believe it was, 91, it became Highlands and Islands Celtic Association. We have vendors from as far as New Hampshire, and that's their first year to come down here. Each one of them has different Celtic paraphernalia. We have kilt vendors, we have jewelry vendors, we have Celtic sword vendors, regular Celtic clothing, everything you can think of. This is a very family-oriented affair. We have stuff for children. We have face painting. They got all a little area where the kids can do the little kids games and stuff and play.
I'm in here playing the music. I love playing the music. I love seeing the people and everything like that. And if anybody becomes a part of it, you will also get the same feelings.
And they come year after year. I talked to people last night that said, we come every year. You know, we have so much fun with coming back. We'll be here next year. You know, we've always been here. And they just keep, so we're coming back every year. The jousting is something that I saw several years ago at another event. I said, that might be something we could use. And it took me 4 or 5 years to convince the group to give it a shot. And we've had them here ever since, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. And Shane Adams, the owner, he's become a personal friend of mine, and they are fantastic. He's a former world champion, and they just put on a heck of a show. The fans love them, we love them, and they'll be back next year.
Basically, I'm a little kid that grew up in Canada wanting to be a knight and realized the only way to do it in this modern day and age is to make it happen for yourself. So I created my own troop, the Knights of Valor, and here we are today.
Shane Adams started this troop out of his childhood dream to become a knight. Most kids wanted to become cowboys, but his true childhood dream was to become a knight.
Then when I was finally introduced to Shane and met him, I was like, wow, he's for real. And he's very professional in how he handles his horses and works with the guys and treats everybody on an equal level. And it was really impressive, and I'm really proud to be a part of this troop.
The Knights of Valor are more than dinner club entertainment. They are modern-day full-contact jousters. They mount on war horses, clad in armor, and run full speed at each other with solid wooden lances.
This is the real sport of jousting. This isn't, for instance, a dinner show. We're not taking falls. We're not fibbing it in any way.
People looked at me to bring the sport back up, and I thought the only way to make jousting a real success in this modern age is to show people the real thing, but more so, you have to add the extreme, and that extreme is those solid wooden lances.
For our lances, it takes around 1,600 pounds of force to actually break them, and quite regularly we do break them. Just yesterday we had a double unhorsing, John Stikes and myself. We both hit pretty hard, and we both hit the ground pretty hard, but...
With this much excitement and action, there's something for everyone in the audience.
Yeah, the crowd reactions are fantastic, especially when you see the little kids that, you ride by and you see that smile on their face, and you're the knight in shining armor for the, in the crowd. You're the fantasy for some of the people out there, and for us, it's just... it's a sport.
The experience alone is absolutely fantastic. Being able to travel around and meeting so many great people and having the presentations that we do.
It's a great success story, and it's a great thrill for me to have seen my childhood dream realized and respected by the world.
Celtic Fest is designed to be enjoyed by the whole family. It was organized back in 1992 by the Celtic Heritage Foundation. Now, this is the biggest festival they have every year, but they have several what they call Céilís throughout the year, which are celebrations of Irish music and dance. And the festival isn't just for spectators. Visitors say it's much more fun if you get involved. There are several workshops to choose from, workshops where you can learn traditional Irish dance, music workshops where you can learn about bagpipes and the baran, a traditional Irish drum. There's even a poetry workshop. And one of the important parts of Celtic culture is storytelling. There's a workshop that helps visitors know how to weave a good tale. And if you look around here at Celtic Fest, you might run across some people in period costumes. Speaking of costumes, we ran across a bunch of folks here a while back who like to portray themselves as famous people from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Darth Vader may have been the villain in the original Star Wars trilogy, but here at Trustmark Park in Pearl, Mississippi, he is definitely a fan favorite. Standing alongside Mandalorians and Jedi are Starfleet officers, Ghostbusters, both big and small, comic book superheroes and Transformers, all dressed up for the crowd. And that got me wondering, what makes grown people want to dress up in costumes?
Well, the number one reason, and the number one reason every member of the 501st Legion dresses up is for charity and to do good works, raise money for children in need of medical equipment or different things. We recently did a troop last week. A child had to have a bone marrow transplant. He was at St. Jude's right now, and they raised $30,000 over the course of the weekend to help his family out and cover some of the costs of medical bills. So this is a way to give back to the community as far as charity goes for children's charities. When you walk into a room, a hospital room, or you have a child walk up to you and you see that face light up, that really does it for us. It kind of makes it all worth it. So, labor of love, so to speak.
The 501st Legion is not the only Star Wars costuming group you'll find helping out in the community. There's also the Mississippi Mandalorians as well.
The Mississippi Mandalorians are very highly involved in the community, and I think that's something really great to give back to the community. And we're really involved with like the zoo, the art museum, just anything that enriches locally around Mississippi. And that's why I really am interested in it, and that's why I got into it too, was to bring an element of something different to our area.
Not every costumer here is Star Wars. One in particular chose a costume from a classic era in history.
Today I'm dressed up as Seal Phantom Hive from the anime called Black Butler. The dress is set in 1800 Victorian time from England. From when I was 5 years old, I've done Halloween, and ever since I've been in costumes, I've just been fascinated of how they could easily change you. You can just be whoever you are and just be free. Being able to be a costume, it just makes me feel like I have a new mind, a new slate. I can just be whoever. My total goal of doing this is just having fun and making people happy. It's always about my mood. Like tonight's sci-fi. I'm not in a Star Wars costume, I'm in an anime because I felt like it.
With an expanded universe of characters to choose from, what draws a person to dress up as a particular character?
I think that each individual person has a perspective of Star Wars that they enjoy more, or they fantasize themselves being more of. Now me, I spent time in the military and I was always kind of a soldier from the beginning. So Stormtrooper, TK, was the first thing I wanted to do right off the bat.
Though the standard white armor may be okay for your average Stormtrooper or Biker Scout, for others, it's only the beginning.
Well, the costume comes as a kit. You buy the kit, but the kit is just plain. There's nothing customized about it at all. It's just a solid color, just ABS molded plastic that's been vacuum formed. And then you take that, and there's usually someone in every garrison that we call an armorer, or someone that specializes in making costumes, has a knack for it. And ours is Alan Young. He's a genius when it comes to putting this stuff together. I'm Sev from Delta Squad from the video game Republic Commandos. Obviously, his costume is very unique than other Star Wars costumes. Usually they're either all white or all black, and Delta Squad had a multicolored paint job on their costume, and I was kind of drawn into Sev's costume because of the blood splattered hand on the handprint and the hand on the chest plate. It actually kind of made it pop and made it very unique. In the 501st Legion, you want to try to get as exactly accurate as possible from movie, video game, comic book, television. If you have a helper, which is a key word, is having a helper, or as we call them, handlers, you can usually get in this costume in around 10 to 15 minutes if everything goes according to plan. Now, if you're by yourself doing it, it's going to take a good bit longer because there's Velcro that needs to be tightened up, straps, different pieces like that. So I'd say 10 to 15 minutes on average. It's definitely one of a kind. I don't think anybody else could probably wear this costume as I wear it because it was made specifically for me. There's no compensation or anything like that. The putting the costume on, really, it's kind of one of those things where you feel great in the costume because you get a lot of attention. You get a lot of attention from people walking by, cars stopping, honking the horn, things like that. So it kind of makes you feel kind of more important than just an everyday average Joe that just blends into the crowd. It is definitely an attention getter. If we do an event, we will bring a crowd in just of people just catching a glimpse of us outside.
Hey, you don't have to be Celtic to enjoy the Celtic Festival. You don't even have to be sure of your heritage. As a matter of fact, there are people here who will help you trace your lineage back to Wales and Scotland and Ireland and Brittany and Cornwall and the Isle of Man. And if you're in the mood to celebrate the Celtic culture through clothing and home decor, you're in luck too. You can find a little bit of everything Celtic here. Jewelry, clothing, even instruments. And since Finian's and Jackson is a big sponsor of the event, festival goers are treated to some fine Celtic food. And there's even a whiskey tasting Friday night that benefits the Celtic Festival. Well, the Celtic Festival is lively and exciting with lots of music, lots of dancing, and plenty of things to take in. Now, another place in Jackson where there's plenty to take in and see is the Jackson Zoo. And we spent a little time there with a lady recently who found her dream job at the zoo, working with animals. Stephanie Watkins always knew she wanted to work with animals, but it wasn't until a semester abroad in Austria that she realized she wanted to work at a zoo. Now a zookeeper at the Jackson Zoo. Stephanie's dream is now a reality, making her 9-to-5 job a little wilder than most.
The mornings are pretty much dedicated to feeding and cleaning. So we go through and we check on all animals, make sure they're doing well, they're all healthy. We feed them, you know, if they're in a night house, we let them out, get their exhibits ready for the day for the public to see them. Once we get the animals out, then we go back and we clean their night houses. So you kind of go through a pattern. You go and get everybody on an exhibit, and then you go back through and clean.
That's a lot of responsibility when there are over 200 species and between 400 to 500 animals.
I think a lot of people don't really realize exactly what it is we do. I think they probably think we just walk around and pet the animals and cuddle with them, and all we do is feed them. There's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of watching their behaviors and medical and enrichment. Enrichment is huge. A huge part of the zookeeper's life. We give the animals something, usually we try to mimic maybe something they would do in the wild, a wild behavior, like some of the primates forage, where they go around and hunt for different things, and so we'll spread things around their exhibit so they have to spend time picking through the grass and getting their food and that kind of stuff. Like today, I give them browse, which is what we call the leaves. This is some enrichment from yesterday. I gave them bamboo, so this is what we call as browse. Dried up overnight.
Not all enrichment is about food, though. Stephanie's been working with the lemurs for weeks now.
This is preliminary training, but the hope, once I get them all station trained, is to be able to then train for behaviors that would enhance the ability to do veterinary exams without having to stress them out and catch them and net them and all that kind of stuff. So one day I hope to be able to maybe give them injections while they're on their station, or get them to enter a crate voluntarily so they can be taken to the vet.
Another equally important facet of Stephanie's job is education and raising awareness.
There's a lot of kids that come through here that have never even seen the animals in their backyard, like snakes and just squirrels in the trees, let alone exotic animals. So I think it offers a great opportunity. They get to see all the animals for themselves. They get to learn about them. Hopefully one of our main goals is to educate.
Stephanie also tries to share with visitors that each animal has an individual personality.
Ronnie, 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 Ronnie! Handsome boy! Come here! Ronnie! Come say hi, boo-boo. I mean, we'll see with the rhino. He's like a giant puppy dog. He loves to have his ears scratched before he goes out in the morning. He'll just stand there. He's like, are you forgetting something? And we have to scratch him behind the ears before he goes out. Our female lemur, you'll see she has quite the attitude. If you don't give her food fast enough, she will let you know. I want you to pick up your station. Excuse you. Rude. They all have personalities, even the smallest duck. And then after lunch is usually dedicated to making our diets for the next day. The food, we prepare the food ourselves. Oh, that's for me. Go ahead.
What is your location?
I'm at the Red Wolf exhibit.
Copy that. I'm going to swing by that way and meet you a second.
We feed them a mixture of just regular dog food and a meat product that we get especially made for zoo carnivores. It comes in a 5-pound sleeve, so they got 1 1/4, so it's about 6.5 pounds or so split between the two of them. The rhino is a funny one today. I froze some alfalfa in a bucket, so that's very interesting. We'll see that. In the summertime, we try and keep them cool, so we do ice treats. We're going to be doing that today, where we freeze fruit in a bucket to make a big popsicle, basically, for the animals to lick on and keep cool.
But Stephanie doesn't see herself as just the animal's caretaker.
The way I view it is I'm kind of their advocate. So I take care of them every day. I learn their behaviors. Probably out of everybody, me being their primary zookeeper, I probably know them the best. And I'm able to communicate what I think they need. You know, I have to watch their behaviors. If anything's off, we let the vet know. I just really think I just speak for them because I can't speak for themselves. Say goodnight.
Hey, in addition to the great music and the great food that you'll find at Celtic Fest every year, there are also feats of strength and endurance in the Highland Games. You'll have new contestants who come here every year to challenge the seasoned pros at these games. And these, by the way, are sanctioned Guinness Highland Games, and they're held every Saturday and every Sunday. And you'll find things like the heavy hammer toss, the light hammer toss, stone toss, and sparring. And while these challenges are designed to show strength and stamina, it still takes a lot of practice to be able to hit your mark or to throw the farthest. And speaking of people who have developed unique skills, we ran across a man in Jackson who has developed a rare skill at playing an unusual instrument, the theremin. Thomas Grillo plays the theremin.
It is technically a synthesizer because it's an amalgamation of multiple components. It's basically a box. It can be made out of wood, plastic, metal, and inside this box you have an electronic circuit board which produces a field of energy around 2 antennas. You have a vertical rod antenna which you use for controlling pitch. You have a second antenna that controls volume or dynamic volume. We call that the volume loop.
The theremin makes a musical note using the changes in electrical capacitance caused by interaction of the human body coming closer to or farther away from a resonant field around an antenna. Thomas is perhaps one of just a handful of people in the world who play the theremin well, training his ear and his hand to feel the subtle changes in pitch and amplitude a raised finger or a slightly cupped palm causes. Invented by a radio technician back in the teen years of the 20th century, capturing the effect he first accidentally discovered while moving closer to and then farther away from unshielded vacuum tubes in resonant circuits, the theremin has to be classified as an unusual instrument at least. But why wouldn't Thomas Grillo play an unusual instrument? In his Fondren area home in North Jackson, Thomas is surrounded by his other interests: computers, a video arcade machine, a flight simulator. Thomas is legally blind, so he doesn't drive. Instead, he flies with the aid of hand controls and a video screen. His four-legged companion shares his solitude and his coffee and his passion for the theremin, an instrument Thomas has gravitated to and become a champion of.
Yeah, my passion for the instrument is it's musical. It basically helped restore my interest in playing music rather than just listening to it. I used to play the violin up until my early teens, and of course I managed to damage my my index finger when I was cutting a part for a model. And so now whenever I try to do vibrato, I can't do vibrato anymore on that instrument.
Lots of people dismiss it as a toy, thinking it isn't really serious because all you have to do to make a sound with it is wave your hand at it. Besides, it can't be real because you don't touch it. Anyone could play it. But hey, just try it sometime.
You know, learning that from here to here is an octave jump on a theremin. That takes a long time to develop. In fact, it is so difficult to play well that it took me 3 weeks to go from sounding like a cat fight in a sewer pipe to playing an actual scale.
He has become a master of the obscure, a champion of the difficult. And from his little hideaway in Fondren and Jackson, Thomas Grillo has caused the Theremin to be heard round the world, playing movie tracks and themes and striving to give ether waves their place, and with woodwinds and brass and percussion, and making music out of thin air. Hey, regrettably, that's all the time we have for this week's show. If you'd like more information about anything you've seen, contact us at mpbonline.org/Mississippi Roads, or join our Facebook page. We're going to leave you with some sights and sounds of the Celtic Festival in Jackson. Until next time, I'm Walt Grayson. I'll be seeing you on Mississippi Roads.
Mississippi Roads is made possible in part by the generous support of viewers like you. Thank you.